Sliding a heavy brass bolt into a frame provides a sense of security. It is a tactile ritual that signals the brain to stop scanning for threats and finally rest. This feeling of safety relies on an unwritten social contract. We trust that the boundaries of our property are visible and respected by anyone or anything moving through the night. The anomaly begins at the furthest reach of that trust. A homeowner might look out a window to see a figure standing perfectly still, positioned exactly on the property line in the dead of night. The figure ignores the usual mechanics of a break-in. There is no testing of window frames or prying of door handles. Instead, they maintain a rigid, unblinking presence at the property's edge, testing the boundary through observation alone. This diagram shows the passive threshold, that glowing line separating the lit interior from the dark exterior void represents the thin margin between public space and private sanctuary. By remaining motionless, the entity forces a reaction. Your attention locks onto that specific spot. The danger at the perimeter is the demand for acknowledgement. By standing at the edge, the entity forces the homeowner to engage with a presence that has no right to be there. The distance collapses in an instant. The distant figure in the yard vanishes, replaced by a sudden, demanding series of heavy strikes directly against the front door. The homeowner approaches the entryway to find a neighbor pleading for help. But the audio is wrong. The words are clear, but they lack human inflection. They sound stripped of genuine panic or breath. The plea repeats with mechanical precision. The cadence, pitch, and spacing between the words are identical every time, like an audio file stuck on a loop. The victim leans in and peers through the glass. They see their neighbor standing under the flickering porch light, but the body moves in stiff, rhythmic twitches that no human joint could replicate. The entity is using the homeowner's instinct to help a friend as a tool. It is weaponizing empathy to pressure the physical barrier of the door. This hunting mechanism is known as the empathy trap. At this stage, the victim feels in control. They believe that as long as the deadbolt remains engaged and the handle stays unturned, the threat is contained on the porch. This cross-section demonstrates the failure of physical security. A red line bypasses the door's mass, connecting the figure outside to the person inside through the peephole. Looking, listening, and analyzing the anomaly grants psychological permission. Giving it focused attention dissolves the barrier. Curiosity and fear act as bridges. By trying to understand the nightmare on the porch, the victim has already allowed it to cross the threshold. The protagonist retreats from the entryway. They leave the locks alone and flee to the innermost sanctuary of the home, the bedroom, closing the door behind them. The strikes on the front porch stop. In the sudden silence, the homeowner sits on the edge of the bed, assuming the threat has moved on because the front door remained shut. Then, the knocking resumes. The sound is no longer coming from the front of the house. It is originating inside the bedroom closet. This marks the inverted threshold. The boundary has flipped, and the center ring of the home, the bedroom, transitions from a safe zone to the epicenter of the threat. The entity skipped the physical hallway, materializing in the closet by following the path of the victim's attention. Physically turning the front doorknob was never the requirement for entry. The deadbolt was a distraction from the real point of failure. Acknowledging a knock in the dead of night is the fatal invitation. The moment you look at the darkness can see you.